I'm taking Maya to spend Christmas with Trent, she said. She needs her real father. If you don't like it, divorce me. The rain kept tapping the window. The heater clicked. The refrigerator hummed. Normal house sounds, like the house was pretending with her. All right, I said. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Kara's eyebrows lifted, a tiny movement, like a curtain twitching. She wanted a reaction she could point to later. Angry husband, unstable husband, controlling husband. Anything that made her next step look like self-defense. All right, she repeated. Yeah, I said. All right, she blinked. The silence stretched until it felt rude. Deb was on the phone, on speaker. Kara had called her mother the moment she woke up, like she needed a witness the way some people need coffee. Deb's voice drifted in, sweet as syrup. Evan, think of Maya, Deb said. Don't make this ugly. I looked at the phone. Then I looked at Kara. She wore the cashmere sweater I hadn't bought. I noticed little things I always had. That sweater was one of them. I am thinking of Maya, I said. That's why I'm not yelling. Kara's mouth tightened. She hated that. She hated calm. Calm didn't give her a script. She set her mug down with a soft clink, then walked toward the hallway. Halfway there, she tossed one more thing over her shoulder, like a casual request. Also, leave the nice suitcase, she said. The black one. The one that looks good. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was so perfectly her. Even in a moment like this, she was dressing the story. I watched her go, and I felt something in me shift. Not heartbreak. Not yet. Something colder. The part of my brain that watches patterns. Kara had a pattern. When she said something cruel, she added something small and petty after it. Like she couldn't help herself. Like she needed the extra twist. And right then, with rain on the glass and Deb's voice still floating from my phone, I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to let her believe I was the man she could push. And then I was going to show her what happens when you push the wrong person. I didn't sleep much that night. Kara did. She slept like a person who believes she's already won. Her phone lay on the nightstand with the screen face down, like a secret turned into a habit. At 2 a.m, it buzzed once. She rolled over, tapped it without opening her eyes, and went back to sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing, and I counted. Not sheep, not blessings, facts, our joint checking account, our mortgage, the car note, Maya's school tuition, the health insurance that ran through my job at Cascade Device Systems, where I managed vendor risk and compliance, a boring title, a steady paycheck, and an email inbox full of other people's mistakes. My father used to call me the guy who reads the fine print. He meant it as a joke. That night, it didn't feel funny. At 6:10 a.m., Kara slid out of bed and padded to the bathroom. A minute later, the shower started. I got up, pulled on jeans, and walked into my small office, the converted guest room where I'd spent the last 4 years working partly from home. My laptop opened with a soft click. I didn't check her phone. I didn't need to. The pattern was already loud enough. Instead, I opened our shared documents folder. Kara loved cloud storage. She loved organization, as long as it was her version. There it was, a neat little file labeled Holiday Plans. Inside, a flight itinerary for Kara and Maya. Christmas Eve out, New Year's Day back, Trent's address included in a nice bold font like it was a hotel, then another document. Separation options. She hadn't even bothered to rename the template. It still said copy of copy. I scrolled. She'd filled in numbers. She'd listed what she thought she was entitled to. She'd noted the date she planned to tell me, yesterday's date. She'd been preparing. I took screenshots. I didn't edit. I didn't delete. I sent them to my personal email with a subject line that meant nothing if anyone glanced at it. Receipts for taxes. Not that word, not that agency, just the old habit of calling documents receipts. When Kara came out of the shower with a towel wrapped around her hair, she found me making toast like it was any other day. You're quiet, she said. I'm tired, I said. She smiled, pleased with herself. Good. Maybe you'll be reasonable. Reasonable. That was her favorite word when she wanted obedience. I put 2 plates on the table. Maya came in, still in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. She climbed into her chair and reached for the strawberry jam. Morning, kiddo, I said. Morning, she mumbled, and then she looked at Kara. Are we going to Trent's? Kara's face flashed irritation at the timing, then smoothed into something bright. Yes, sweetheart, we talked about it. Maya looked at me, waiting. I kept my voice steady. We'll talk after school, I told her. You and me. Kara's smile faded. There's nothing to talk about. There always is, I said. The words hung there. Not angry, not loud, just a marker placed on the table between us. Kara stared at me like she was recalculating. I didn't give her anything else, because the worst thing you can do to someone who feeds on drama is to starve them, and I was learning how to starve Kara. At 8:45 a.m., after Maya's school drop-off, I sat in my car in the parking lot and called the only person I trusted to be blunt with me. Cal Porter answered on the second ring. Either you're calling to tell me you finally bought a grill or something is wrong, he said. Cal and I had been friends since community college. He worked in security systems now, installing cameras for small businesses and sometimes for people with money who wanted to feel safe. He was the kind of guy who hated drama but loved truth. It's wrong, I said. I told him. Not every detail, just the bones. Kara's ultimatum, Trent, Christmas, divorce, like it was a grocery list. Cal was quiet for a few seconds. I could hear him breathing. Do you want to win, or do you want to survive? He asked. Both, I said. Then you stop acting like this is a conversation, Cal said. It's a chessboard. You don't yell at the board. You make moves. I'm not trying to hurt her, I said. Evan, Cal said, and his voice went softer. She's already trying to hurt you. She just wants to do it while looking clean. I stared out at the gray sky. A school bus pulled out, blinking lights. Kids' voices floated faintly when a door opened. What do I do first? I asked. You talk to a lawyer today, Cal said. Not tomorrow, today, and you keep your mouth shut about it. No speeches, no threats, no, I could ruin you. You don't say anything you wouldn't want written on a billboard. I exhaled. Okay. And you make sure Maya is safe, he added. Safe means stable. Safe means nobody uses her like a suitcase. That word hit me. Suitcase. Kara had said it like an afterthought, but it wasn't. It was the way she thought. People were props. I'll call a lawyer, I said. Good. And if you need cameras, locks, anything like that, you call me, Cal said. Not because you're paranoid, because you're prepared. Prepared. That sounded better than scared. After I hung up, I sat for a minute with my hands on the steering wheel, listening to the engine tick. My heartbeat had slowed. I wasn't calm, exactly, but the panic had a shape now. I drove straight to work, walked past the lobby plants and the cheerful holiday poster, and did my job. I reviewed contracts, I answered emails, I spoke in meetings. At lunch, I made the call Cal told me to make. A receptionist connected me to a family law attorney named Alicia Hart. Her voice was clear, not overly warm, not cold either, like a doctor. Tell me what happened, she said. I did. When I finished, she didn't gasp or scold or say anything dramatic. She asked, Has Kara already booked travel with your child? Yes. Has she threatened to keep Maya from you? She had, in her own clean way. She said Maya needs her real father. Alicia's tone didn't change, but something sharpened. That phrasing matters. We can address it. You need to keep this as factual as possible. No insults, no assumptions. I almost laughed. I'm good at facts. I can tell, she said. Here's what we do. We file first. We request temporary orders about travel and parenting time. We make sure nobody can just disappear for 10 days and call it a holiday. The word disappear made my stomach twist. Alicia continued. You also separate finances carefully. There are rules. I'll guide you. And Evan, do not leave the home unless there is a safety issue. Kara had asked for the suitcase. The implication was clear. She wanted me gone. Quietly gone. I stared at my desk calendar with a picture of the Oregon coast. I'm not leaving, I said. Good, Alicia said. Come in at 4. Bring copies of anything you have that suggests she planned this. After the call, I leaned back in my chair and stared at my reflection in the black computer screen. I looked normal. A little tired, a little older than I used to be. But underneath that, something had started. Not rage, resolve. And I understood, for the first time, that the quiet exit Kara wanted for me was not the only quiet exit available. I could leave quietly too, just not the way she expected. Alicia Hart's office smelled like coffee and printer toner. Her walls held framed diplomas and one photo of a golden retriever wearing a party hat. It was the only thing in the room that looked like it belonged to a human being. She read my screenshots without changing her face. When she finished, she slid them into a folder, then opened another folder already labeled with my last name. You're not the first person to sit in that chair with this story, she said. That didn't comfort me. It made me feel like an item in a stack, But, she added, your story has an advantage. You're thinking. Most people come in here furious or devastated. You're calculating. I swallowed. Is that bad? It's useful, Alicia said. Feelings don't file motions. Paper does. She explained things the way you'd explain a difficult recipe. Steps, timing, don't improvise. We filed for legal separation first, then amended to divorce if needed. We requested temporary orders. No out-of-state travel with Maya without written agreement, a stable schedule, and a requirement that both parents keep communication civil. Alicia didn't promise me custody. She promised me a process. Courts like stability, she said. Who has been the primary caregiver? Kara does pickups, I admitted, but I do mornings, homework, doctor appointments. I've been there. Alicia nodded, typing notes. Document it. Document. That word became my life. When I left her office, it was dark outside. Holiday lights blinked in storefront windows. The city looked cheerful in a way that made my chest ache. People were buying gifts. Couples were laughing. Somewhere, somebody was making plans that didn't involve lawyers. At home, Kara was on the couch scrolling through her phone, Maya's head resting on her lap. A movie played quietly on the TV, something animated with bright colors. Kara glanced up. Long day? Yeah, I said. She studied me. You're acting weird. I shrugged, taking off my coat. Work. She didn't believe me. I could tell. Kara's instincts were sharp when it came to sensing threats to her story. What did that lawyer say? She asked suddenly. The question hit like a slap. Not because it hurt, but because it revealed she'd already guessed. I kept my face blank. What lawyer? Her eyes narrowed. Don't play with me. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself water. The glass clinked against the sink. My hands were steady. I was proud of that. Kara, I said, you told me to divorce you. That's not a joke. Her jaw tightened. I didn't think you'd run out, and what? I asked. Take you seriously? Maya looked up, sensing tension. Her eyes went from Kara to me like a ping-pong ball. Kara forced a smile for her. Sweetie, go brush your teeth. Maya slid off the couch and padded down the hall. As soon as she was out of earshot, Kara leaned forward. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. You made it big when you planned it, I said. Kara's face flashed. I planned a vacation, that's all. With my daughter, I said, and my voice dipped a little. Not loud, just lower. Without talking to me? She's my daughter, too. She is, I agreed. That's why we're going to handle this like adults. Kara sat back, lips pressed tight. Adults. Right. She stood, smoothing her sweater. I'm going to call Deb. She'll talk sense into you. Go ahead, I said. She paused, waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. Kara walked into the bedroom and shut the door. In the hallway, Maya's toothbrush buzzed. The movie kept playing, cheerful and bright. I stood in the kitchen and drank my water, and I thought about paper cuts. Paper doesn't feel like much at first. A little sting, a small line. But paper cuts have a way of reminding you they exist every time you move. That's what I was going to do. Not one big dramatic strike, 1,000 small, clean cuts, and Kara wouldn't even see them coming. Trent Holden showed up on a Tuesday, like a bad habit revisiting. I came home early because Maya had a school recital. Kara had texted me the schedule an hour before, like it was a courtesy, not a requirement. I walked in and heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. Too casual, too familiar. Trent stood in our living room holding a paper cup of coffee like he belonged there. He was taller than me by an inch or two, broader in the shoulders, with the kind of grin that says he thinks the world owes him something and he collects anyway. Kara said you'd be at work, he said, like that was normal. I didn't shake his hand. Change of plans. Kara stepped out of the kitchen, her eyes wide, then quickly smooth. Evan, this is... Trent, I said. I know. Trent's grin widened. Man, you got a nice place. He looked around like he was shopping. His eyes lingered on the family photos. That's my kid, he said, pointing at a picture of Maya with missing teeth from last year. She's not a thing you can claim, I said. Trent chuckled. Relax, I'm just saying. Families... He stopped himself, maybe remembering there was a child in the next room. I appreciated the tiny restraint and hated that I appreciated it. Kara moved closer to Trent, almost without thinking. The proximity was an answer to a question I hadn't asked. What are you doing here? I asked Kara. He's here for Maya, Kara said. He wanted to see her before Christmas. You mean before you take her, I said. Kara's face tightened. Don't start. I'm not starting anything, I said. I'm finishing it. Trent lifted his hands like a referee. Look, I don't want trouble. I'm just here to be in my daughter's life. Then be in it in a way that doesn't blow up her home, I said. Trent's grin faded. Home. Cute. I held his gaze. She has a home. Kara stepped in front of him. You're being possessive. No, I said. I'm being protective. Maya's bedroom door opened. She stepped out in her recital outfit, hair half done. She froze when she saw Trent, then smiled with the nervous politeness of a kid who knows adults are complicated. Hi, she said. Trent's whole face changed. The grin softened. Hey, kiddo. Maya walked forward. Kara put a hand on her shoulder, guiding her like a prop. I watched my daughter look at a stranger who shared her face in small ways. I watched her try to decide what she was supposed to feel. The air in the room felt thin. Trent leaned down. I brought you something. He reached into a bag and pulled out a new phone case with a cartoon cat on it. Maya's eyes lit up. Oh, thanks. Kara looked at me, smug. I didn't react. I just watched. Because gifts were part of the pattern, too. Little demonstrations, little stakes hammered into the ground. That night at the recital, Trent sat 2 rows behind us, laughing a little too loud at the wrong moments. Kara kept glancing back at him, smiling. Maya looked at me during her song, looking for my face, and I smiled back until my cheeks hurt. Afterward, in the school hallway, Trent clapped me on the shoulder. You're a good guy, he said. I can tell, but you gotta understand. Some things aren't yours to keep. I turned my head slowly. Maya isn't a trophy, I said. She's a kid. If you care about her, you won't use her as a weapon. Trent's eyes hardened. You think you're the hero here? I don't think anything, I said. I know what I'm going to do next. Kara walked up with Maya, cheerful, pretending everything was fine. Trent looked past me to Kara. Call me, he said. Kara nodded. And just like that, he walked away, leaving his coffee cup on the school windowsill like trash. Maya tugged my sleeve. Dad, are we okay? I knelt so we were eye level. We're okay, I told her. It wasn't a promise about Kara. It was a promise about me. And in that hallway, under fluorescent lights and paper snowflakes taped to the walls, I understood my revenge wasn't going to be a dramatic explosion. It was going to be me refusing to disappear. That was the first cut. And it stung. Alicia told me not to record conversations. Not because it was always illegal, but because it was always messy. Use what already exists, she said. Texts, emails, calendars. The things people create when they think nobody will read them. Kara created a lot. She texted Trent at night when she thought I was asleep. I didn't touch her phone, but I did notice the way she held it close, the way her smile showed up at odd times. I focused on my own trail. I started emailing Kara instead of arguing in person. Confirming that Maya will not travel out of state without written agreement, I wrote. Kara replied 3 hours later. You're being ridiculous. I wrote again. Please answer yes or no. She replied. You can't control me. I forwarded the thread to Alicia. I also checked our finances, carefully, the way Alicia instructed. I didn't drain accounts. I didn't do anything dramatic. I opened a separate account in my name and redirected my paycheck after notifying Kara in writing with a clear explanation. For household expenses and attorney fees, I will continue to pay the mortgage and utilities. When Kara noticed, she stormed into my office like a tornado. You're stealing from me, she hissed. I'm paying the bills, I said. You're hiding money. I'm documenting money, I corrected. Her eyes flashed. Deb was right. You're trying to punish me. I looked at her. You threatened divorce. You moved plans around Maya. I'm not punishing you. I'm responding. Kara's face twisted, like she didn't like the mirror. That weekend, she tried a different tactic. She showed up at my work. Cascade Device Systems had a clean lobby with polished floors and an awkward holiday tree. Kara walked in, wearing a coat that looked expensive and a smile that looked practiced. The receptionist called my extension. I went down and found Kara sitting with her legs crossed, looking around like she belonged. We need to talk, she said. Not here, I said. Then where? She snapped. Her voice was loud enough that a couple of people glanced over. She wanted witnesses. I kept my voice low. In writing, I said, or with our lawyers. Kara stood, leaning close. You think you're so smart. I didn't move back. I think you underestimated me. Her eyes flicked over my shoulder to a security camera in the corner. I watched her notice it, then soften her face into a polite smile, like she'd been misunderstood. Fine, she said sweetly. I'm just worried about Maya. You're acting off. I held her gaze. Tell Deb she can stop calling my phone. Kara's smile cracked. Deb is trying to help. Deb is trying to control, I said. Alicia told me not to pick fights, but she also said, set boundaries, calmly, repeatedly. Kara stared at me like she wanted to slap me, then turned and walked out with her chin high. That night, Deb called anyway. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail full of gentle-sounding threats. The family would take care of things, the court would see who the stable parent is, and Kara would do what she has to do. I saved it. No recordings, Alicia said, but voicemails existed. Kara and Deb created them voluntarily. People love to build their own cages, as long as the bars looked like kindness. By Sunday, I had enough to file for temporary orders. Alicia did it fast. Court dates appear like weather. Sudden, inconvenient, impossible to ignore. Kara received the papers on Monday afternoon. When she opened the envelope, her face drained of color. For the first time, she looked truly surprised. You filed, she whispered like it was betrayal. You told me to, I said. Her hands shook. You can't do this to me. I took a slow breath. Kara, you started this. She stared at me, and I saw it. The first crack in the version of the story she'd been writing. The version where I stayed quiet, packed the suitcase, and disappeared. I didn't, and she hated me for it. Kara tried to take Maya anyway. It happened 3 days before Christmas. The morning was dark and wet, the kind of Pacific Northwest day where the sky looks like it's made of metal. I was making Maya oatmeal when Kara came into the kitchen with a rolling suitcase, the nice black one. Maya's eyes widened. Are we going now? Kara smiled. Just for a little trip, sweetheart. I set the spoon down slowly. Kara, I said, calm, we have a court hearing tomorrow. Kara's smile didn't move. This isn't out of state, she lied. I held up my phone. Your itinerary says otherwise. Her eyes flicked to the screen. You went through my files? Our files, I corrected. Shared folder. Kara's face tightened. You're obsessed. I stood. Put the suitcase away. Kara's voice rose. You don't get to order me around. Maya looked between us, spoon halfway to her mouth. The oatmeal cooled. I forced my voice softer for Maya. Sweetheart, go get your coat and wait by the door. Maya hesitated. Am I in trouble? No, I said. You're not in trouble. She slid out of her chair and walked away. Kara leaned in, eyes bright. You can't stop me. I didn't yell. I didn't grab her. I simply reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded paper. The temporary order request Alicia had drafted. Not signed yet. Not enforceable yet. But it was real. You can go, I said. But if you take Maya out of state tonight, I'll tell the court exactly what you did. And I will ask for emergency orders. You can gamble with your own life. You don't gamble with hers. Kara's jaw worked. Trent is waiting. Trent can wait, I said. Kara's eyes flashed with something ugly. You think you're the parent here? I am a parent, I said. For a moment, I thought she'd back down. Instead, she grabbed Maya's backpack from the hook and yanked it off hard enough to make the hook rattle. Maya, she shouted. Maya came into the hallway, coat half on. Her face was pale. We're leaving, Kara said. Maya looked at me, terrified. I stepped forward, careful not to touch either of them. Maya, I said gently, do you want to go right now? Maya's eyes filled. I don't know. That's okay, I said. You don't have to decide in a rush. Kara snapped. She's going. I took my phone and dialed Alicia's emergency line. Kara's eyes widened. Are you calling the cops? I'm calling my lawyer, I said. Kara lunged for my phone. I stepped back. Her hand swiped air. Maya started crying. Quiet at first, then louder. Kara froze, then forced her voice sweet again. Honey, don't cry. It'll be fun. Maya shook her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. That was the moment Kara lost control of the scene. The child wasn't cooperating with the script. Kara's gaze flicked to the front window, as if imagining Trent's car in the driveway, imagining witnesses, imagining embarrassment. She hissed at me, You're doing this to her. No, I said. You are. Kara stared at Maya, then at me. Her breathing was fast. Her face looked like a mask slipping. Then she did something I didn't expect. She dropped the backpack and stormed out, dragging the suitcase behind her. The front door slammed so hard the walls seemed to shiver. Maya sobbed. I went to her, knelt down, and opened my arms. She fell into them like she'd been waiting all morning. I don't want to go, she whispered. I know, I said, holding her. And in that moment, my revenge sharpened. Not because Kara had tried to take her, because Kara had been willing to scare her to win. If Kara wanted a war of optics, fine. But I wasn't fighting for optics, I was fighting for my kid, and that made me dangerous. The courthouse smelled like old carpet and anxious breath. Alicia met me on the steps with a folder under her arm. She wore a gray suit and no jewelry except a simple watch. She looked like a person who knew how to stand in front of a judge without flinching. Kara arrived 10 minutes late in a cream coat, Trent at her side like a shadow. Deb trailed behind them, chin up, eyes sharp. Kara saw me and smiled. It was the kind of smile people use when they want you to doubt your own reality. Evan, she said softly, like we were friends. Can we please just talk? No, Alicia said, stepping between us. We talk inside. Trent leaned toward Kara, whispering something. Kara nodded, then looked at me with that calm voice again. You're doing this to punish me, she said. Alicia didn't respond. She simply guided me into the hallway. Inside the courtroom, time got strange. Everything slowed and sped up at the same time. The judge was a woman with tired eyes and a steady voice. She asked questions, she listened. She didn't care about Kara's sweater or my tired face. She cared about dates, plans, stability. Alicia presented the shared folder screenshots, the email threads, the voicemail from Deb. She did it without drama. Paper, like she'd promised. Kara's attorney argued that Kara was the primary caregiver, that the trip was family bonding, that I was controlling. He used the word controlling 3 times, like repetition made it true. The judge looked over her glasses at Kara. Ms. Walker, she said, did you book travel for the child without notifying the father? Kara's lips parted, then closed. I didn't think it was a big deal. The judge's voice stayed calm. It is a big deal when parents are in conflict. You are ordered not to remove the child from the state without written agreement or court approval. Kara's face stiffened. The judge continued. We will establish a temporary parenting schedule. Both parents will refrain from disparaging the other parent to the child. Both parents will communicate through a parenting app. Kara's attorney objected. The judge overruled. When it was done, Kara walked out of the courtroom like she'd swallowed glass. Trent followed, jaw clenched. Deb's eyes were angry enough to scorch. Kara stopped in the hallway and turned to me. Her voice shook with rage disguised as heartbreak. You're ruining Christmas, she said. I kept my voice low. You tried to take her. Kara's eyes flashed. Because you wouldn't listen. Alicia stepped forward. We are done speaking today. Kara ignored her, stepping closer to me, too close. You think you won? She whispered. You didn't win. You just made me do things I didn't want to do. The sentence was twisted enough to make my skin crawl. It wasn't accountability, it was blame. I looked at her and felt something settle in my chest. I used to love this woman. I used to build my life around her moods, her needs, her version of what was fair. Not anymore. You did what you chose, I said. Now we all live with it. Kara's face contorted. Then she turned and walked away. As she passed, Deb leaned in and hissed, We will make sure everyone knows what you are. I watched them go, and I felt a strange relief. The rules were in writing now. The chessboard was set. That night, I tucked Maya into bed and read her a story about a rabbit who didn't want to go to a party. Maya yawned and said, Mom is mad. I know, I said, smoothing her hair. But you're safe. She closed her eyes. Promise? I promise, I said, and I meant it. After she fell asleep, I stood in the hallway and stared at the black suitcase Kara had left by the door, forgotten in her rush. It looked innocent. But it wasn't. It was proof. Proof that she'd been ready to roll my life up and carry it away. Now it sat there, useless, like a prop that no longer mattered. I walked past it and turned off the hallway light. Quiet. Just like Kara wanted. Just not in her favor. The parenting app turned Kara's words into evidence. She couldn't charm an app. She couldn't guilt an app. She couldn't rewrite what she typed. Within a week, Kara slipped. Not big, small, the way she always slipped. She sent a message that was supposed to be about Maya's schedule. Trent will pick her up Friday, she wrote. I replied. The order says parents, not third parties. Kara wrote back, You're insecure. Insecure. Another favorite word. Another attempt to make my boundary a flaw. Alicia advised me to respond like a machine. Short, polite, clear. So I wrote, Please confirm you will do the pickup. Kara didn't respond for 6 hours. Then she wrote, Fine. That was the pattern. Resistance, insult, reluctant compliance. Meanwhile, I kept working, kept showing up for Maya, kept doing laundry and homework and grocery runs. Stability. That word again. Cal installed a small camera system at my request. Front door, back door, driveway. No secret cameras inside, just plain, legal, outside coverage. Not for spying, Cal said. For when someone says you did something you didn't. On New Year's Eve, Kara didn't have Maya. It was my night. Kara sent a message at 9:12 p.m. Maya should be with her mother tonight, she wrote. I replied, the schedule says she is with me? Kara typed and erased those little dots in the app, then finally wrote, you're cruel. I stared at the screen and felt tired. Then my phone buzzed with an email notification. Not from Kara, from my own work inbox. A calendar invite had been forwarded accidentally. It was titled Q1 Strategy, Private. The organizer was my boss, Lyle Benton. The invite list included me, 2 directors, and Kara. For a second, my brain refused to accept it. Kara didn't work at Cascade Device Systems. She'd never worked there. I opened the invite details. Kara's email was added with a note. Consultant, brand alignment. My hands went cold. At home, Kara had called herself a marketing consultant lately. She'd been meeting clients, she said, networking. I remembered the cashmere sweater, the sudden hair appointments, the evening she said she was at a workshop. Now I stared at her name inside my company's calendar invite like it was a stain. I forwarded it to myself. Then I opened our HR policies, conflict of interest, confidentiality, outside consulting. I didn't storm into Lyle's office. I didn't accuse. I did what I do. I gathered facts. The next morning, I requested a meeting with HR. I framed it as a concern about sensitive information and vendor risk, which was true. If a non-employee was sitting in our strategy meetings, that was a risk. HR scheduled me for Friday. Meanwhile, Kara came home humming, like New Year's had wiped everything clean. She tossed her keys in the bowl and said, How was your night with Maya? Good, I said. She smiled. Great. I'm glad you can handle it sometimes. Sometimes, like I was a babysitter. I watched her walk to the kitchen and open the pantry. The fluorescent light caught her face in a way that made her look older, sharper. What were you doing at my company? I asked. Kara froze. Then she turned slowly, face smooth. What? I kept my voice even. Cascade. You're on a strategy invite. Kara's eyes widened, then narrowed. You're spying on me. I'm reading my own calendar, I said. Kara's lips pressed tight. Then she shrugged, casual. It's nothing. I'm helping Lyle with some messaging. He asked. You should be proud. Proud. She said it like I should clap. I felt something in my chest tighten. Did you tell him we're separating? Kara's eyes flicked away. That's personal. It's relevant, I said. You're in my workplace. Kara smiled again, the calm smile. Evan, you're overreacting. Maybe you should talk to someone. There it was. The old move. Make me sound unstable. I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. Kara blinked. Okay? Yeah, I said. Okay. I walked away, leaving her in the kitchen with her pantry door half open. She wanted me to explode. She wanted proof. Instead, I gave her the thing she couldn't fight. Silence. And in my silence, I carried the calendar invite like a match. Because now my revenge had a new direction. Not just protecting Maya, protecting my life, my career. The part of me Kara thought she could walk into and rearrange. If she was going to play games in my world, she was going to learn my rules. HR at Cascade was a glass-walled room with a bowl of mints and a poster about respect in the workplace. The poster felt like a joke. The HR manager, Simone Randall, greeted me with professional warmth. She was in her 40s, with sharp eyes and a notebook already open. Alicia had told me, when you speak to HR, be factual, not emotional, not vengeful. So I was. I slid a printed copy of the calendar invite across the table. Simone glanced at it, eyebrows lifting slightly. This is unusual, she said. I'm concerned about confidentiality, I said, and conflict of interest. Simone asked, How is Ms. Walker connected to this? I kept my face neutral. She is my spouse. We are in legal separation proceedings. Simone's pen paused. Does Mr. Benton know? I don't know, I said honestly. That's why I'm here. Simone's expression turned thoughtful. Thank you for bringing this to us. We will review. Please understand, I can't share details of personnel actions. I understand, I said. Simone looked at me for a moment. Evan, is there anything else you think we should know? There were 1,000 things I could have said. Kara's insults, Deb's threats, Trent's smug grin. I didn't. I stayed inside the lines. I think this situation could be used to influence decisions, I said. I want to protect the company and myself. Simone nodded slowly. That's fair. 2 hours later, Lyle Benton called me into his office. Lyle was a man who loved golf and buzzwords. He smiled too much in meetings. He'd always liked Kara because Kara made people feel like they were special, and Lyle loved feeling special. When I walked in, Lyle's smile looked strained. Evan, he said. Sit. I sat. Lyle rubbed his forehead. HR came to me with concerns. About Kara. I didn't react. Lyle continued. She approached me about consulting. I thought it was harmless. She's persuasive. He said persuasive like it was a compliment, but his tone made it sound like a warning. I shouldn't have added a non-employee to strategy, he admitted. No, I said. Lyle exhaled. Simone also told me you're separating. Yes, I said. Lyle's eyes darted to the window, then back. Why didn't you tell me? Because my marriage isn't a company memo, I said. Lyle flinched a little. Fair. Look, this is messy. It doesn't have to be, I said. If boundaries are clear. Lyle nodded. I've removed Kara from all invites. I've told her the consulting won't continue. I held his gaze. Thank you. Lyle shifted. Evan, I need to know, is there any chance Kara will cause trouble? The question was careful. He meant, will she accuse you of something? Will she embarrass the company? I chose my words. I can't control her actions, I said, but I've been documenting communication, and I'm focused on stability. Lyle nodded slowly. Okay. When I left his office, my phone buzzed. A message from Kara on the parenting app. We need to talk tonight, face to face. I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, please keep communication on the app or through attorneys. Kara responded immediately. You just got me fired from a client. I read that sentence twice. Got me fired. She was blaming me for the consequences of her own choices again. I didn't reply. At home that evening, Kara waited in the living room, arms crossed. Trent wasn't there. Deb wasn't there. Just Kara, alone, without her chorus. You went to HR, she said, voice shaking. I addressed a workplace issue, I said. You humiliated me, she hissed. You inserted yourself into my workplace, I said. That's on you. Kara's eyes filled with tears that looked real. That startled me. I was trying to build something, she said. For us. For you, I corrected. Kara's tears vanished like a switch. You think you're so righteous. I didn't move. Kara, you threatened divorce. You tried to take Maya out of state. You walked into my job like you owned it. Kara's voice rose. Because you don't see me. You never see me. I almost laughed again. I saw her too much. I saw every move. Kara, I said quietly, I see exactly who you are. Her face went still. The air in the room felt heavy. For the first time, she looked afraid. Then she straightened, lifting her chin like armor. Fine, she said. If you want a war, Evan, we'll have one. I kept my voice calm. I don't want a war. Kara's smile was sharp. Too late. She walked past me toward the hallway, then paused and looked back. You're going to regret this, she said. And I believed her, not because she was powerful, because people like Kara don't lose quietly. They burn the room down on the way out, just to make sure nobody else gets it. But I'd already started removing fuel, and she didn't know how much I'd taken away. The first lie Kara told about me in public was small. It started at Maya's school fundraiser, a winter carnival with hot chocolate and a silent auction. The gym smelled like popcorn and glue sticks. Parents milled around wearing holiday sweaters, trying to look cheerful. Kara arrived with Deb. Trent arrived a few minutes later, as if summoned. They stood together near the raffle table, a neat little triangle of smiles. I stayed near Maya, helping her with a ring toss game. She was laughing, cheeks pink, happy in a way that made my chest ache. Then I heard my name. A group of parents stood near the bleachers, and Kara was in the center, speaking softly. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the faces, the sympathetic nods, the widened eyes, the little glances toward me. Kara noticed me watching and tilted her head, a sad smile. The look said, I'm the reasonable one. Cal had warned me about this. She'll try to win the room, he'd said. Don't fight in the room. So I didn't. I waited until Kara drifted toward the snack table, away from the crowd. I approached with the calm of a man walking toward a spill he needed to clean up. "Kara," I said quietly. She turned, eyes bright. "Evan, are you here alone? That's brave." There it was. The implication. I kept my voice low. "Please stop telling people I'm unstable." Kara's face went innocent. "I didn't say that." "You implied it," I said. Kara shrugged. "I'm worried about you, that's all." Deb stepped closer, eyes cold. "Maybe if you acted normal, people wouldn't worry." I looked at Deb. "Deb, stay out of this." Deb's mouth tightened. "I'm Maya's grandmother." "And I'm her father," I said. Trent drifted over, hands in his pockets like a man at a bar. "What's the problem?" he asked. Kara sighed dramatically. "Evan thinks I'm turning people against him." Trent chuckled. "Maybe they just see the truth." My pulse kicked. I forced it down. I looked at Kara. "The court order says no disparaging," I said. "That includes hints." Kara's eyes flashed. "You can't control what people think." "No," I said, "but you can control what you feed them." Kara leaned in, smile sweet. "Maybe you should leave, before you have a moment." I understood the trap instantly. If I raised my voice, if I reacted, it would be proof. So I smiled. Calm, small. "Enjoy the carnival," I said. Then I walked away. Behind me, I heard Kara's laugh, soft and pleased, like she'd won something. But I hadn't come there to win the room. I came there to watch. Because Kara was sloppy when she thought she had an audience. And sure enough, she got sloppy. Near the silent auction, Kara stood with a couple of parents and said, "I'm just trying to keep Maya safe." Safe. Another word that sounded good. One parent asked, "Safe from what?" Kara lowered her voice, dramatic. "From his moods." Moods. Not an accusation you can sue over. Just enough to plant a seed. I didn't confront her again. I pulled out my phone and opened the parenting app. I typed, "Please stop making comments at school events that suggest I'm unsafe. It violates the order." Then I waited. Kara replied 30 seconds later. "Stop harassing me." Harassing. Another loaded word. I took a screenshot. Later, as we left, Maya held my hand and said, "Mom said you're mad all the time." My throat tightened. "Did she say that?" Maya nodded. "She said you get scary." The words landed like weight. I crouched so we were face to face. "Maya, look at me," I said gently. "Have I ever scared you?" Maya hesitated. "Not on purpose." "That matters," I said. "Sometimes adults say things when they're upset. It doesn't make them true." Maya's eyes were glossy. "Are you going to leave?" The question broke something in me quietly. I wanted to promise her the whole world. I wanted to say no, never, impossible. Instead, I told her the truth I could keep. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. "I'm right here." Maya nodded, clinging to my hand like it was a rope. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat at the kitchen table and opened the folder on my laptop. Screenshots, emails, voicemails, notes, dates. It looked obsessive if you didn't know why. But I knew. Kara was building a story where I was the problem. I was building a file where the truth could survive her story. And if she kept pushing, that file would become the knife she'd never see. Clean, sharp, paper. By mid-January, everyone was exhausted, and nobody was done. Alicia scheduled mediation because courts like to see effort. Kara agreed because she liked rooms where she could perform. Deb insisted on attending as support, which Alicia pushed back on until Kara's attorney negotiated a compromise. Deb could sit in the waiting area, not the room. Trent, thankfully, wasn't allowed anywhere near it. The mediation office was on the 3rd floor of a building that smelled like carpet cleaner. The room itself had no windows, just a table, a pitcher of water, and a framed print of a mountain that looked like it came from a dentist's office. The mediator, a man named Warren Pike, spoke in a voice designed to calm dogs. "We're here to focus on Maya," he said. Kara nodded like she'd been appointed queen of focusing. Warren asked each of us to explain what we wanted. Kara went first, of course. "I want peace," she said. "I want Maya to have stability. Evan has been unpredictable lately. I worry." There it was again, unpredictable. A soft accusation, a fog machine. Warren looked at me. "Evan?" "I want a consistent schedule," I said. "I want clear rules about travel. I want communication to stay respectful and in writing." Kara sighed like I'd said something offensive. Warren leaned forward. Can you two agree to a shared parenting plan? Alicia spoke calmly. Evan has proposed one. Kara has not provided an alternative in writing. Kara's eyes narrowed. Because I refuse to be bullied by paperwork. I kept my face blank. Paperwork is how adults prevent chaos, I said. Kara's smile turned sharp. You love chaos, Evan. You create it and then pretend you're saving everyone from it. Warren held up a hand. Let's not label. But labeling was Kara's whole strategy. If she could label me, she could control the way people saw me. Alicia slid a printed timeline across the table. Dates, messages, court orders, and Kara's own words from the app. No opinions, just facts. Warren read silently. His eyebrows lifted in small increments. Kara watched him, then laughed lightly. Wow, he really has time for this. I make time for my daughter, I said. Kara leaned back. No, you make time for control. Alicia's voice stayed steady. Ms. Walker, we can discuss feelings, but we also need compliance. Warren set the papers down and looked at Kara. The court orders are clear. Do you intend to follow them? Kara's face twitched, then smoothed. Of course. Then we can formalize a plan, Warren said. Kara's gaze flicked to me. Fine, she said. But I want weekends, and I want Maya on Christmas. Alicia said, we can alternate holidays. Kara snapped, why should I alternate? I'm her mother. I said quietly, and I'm her father. The room went still. Warren exhaled softly. Okay, he said. Let's work through specifics. Hours passed in measured sentences and forced calm. By the end, we had a draft agreement. Not perfect, but stable. It included a clause about third parties. Trent could not handle exchanges. Deb could not contact me directly about the case. Communication stayed in the app. Kara signed with a flourish like she was signing a book deal. As we stood to leave, she leaned in close enough for only me to hear. You think paper makes you safe, she whispered. It doesn't. I met her eyes. It makes Maya safe, I said. Kara's smile faded. She turned and walked out of the room, heels clicking like punctuation. Alicia watched her go. She's going to escalate, she said. I nodded. I know. The problem with building your life on performance is that when the audience stops clapping, you start doing bigger stunts. And Kara was running out of applause. Kara's escalation came disguised as routine. The first Friday exchange, after mediation, I drove Maya to Kara's apartment complex. Kara had moved into a rental on the east side, a place with thin walls and a parking lot that always looked wet. She'd told friends it was temporary and fun. Maya called it the small place. Cal had told me to use the cameras at home and to keep exchanges public, so we met in the parking lot under the bright pole lights. Kara stood by her car with Trent. My jaw tightened. Trent wasn't holding Maya. Trent wasn't touching Maya. But he was there, leaning against Kara's car like a warning. Maya squeezed my hand. Why is he here? I kept my voice soft. You don't have to talk to him, I said. Just go to Mom. Maya walked toward Kara, shoulders tense. Kara smiled too brightly. Hi, sweetheart. Come here. Maya hugged her in a quick, stiff way, then stepped back. Trent grinned at me. Hey, man. I didn't respond to him. I looked at Kara. The agreement says third parties don't participate in exchanges. Kara's smile stayed glued on. He's just giving me a ride. Trent pushed off the car. Don't be dramatic. I kept my voice even. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being consistent. Trent's eyes hardened. He took a step toward me. The parking lot felt suddenly smaller, the air colder. Cal's voice echoed in my head. Don't fight in the room. But this wasn't a room. It was a place with cameras, lights, and witnesses. 2 other parents nearby getting kids out of their cars. Trent said, You're not her father. My pulse jumped. I forced my breathing slow. I said, That's not your decision. Trent laughed. You don't get it. Kara's finally fixing her mistake. Kara's face flashed annoyance. Trent, stop. But her eyes didn't look annoyed. They looked pleased, like she was watching a scene she'd directed. Maya stood between Kara and me, eyes wide. She didn't know where to stand, like the ground under her feet was moving. I kept my voice gentle for her. Maya, I said, go wait by Mom's passenger door. Maya hesitated, then moved. Trent's grin widened. Look at you, Mr. Calm. Think that makes you the good guy? I didn't answer. Trent reached into his jacket and pulled out something that caught the light. For a second, my brain saw a flash of metal and reacted before thought. It was just keys. A keychain, A shiny little thing. He jangled it, smiling. My stomach unclenched a fraction, but the message was clear. He wanted me to flinch. Kara stepped closer, voice syrupy. Evan, you're making Maya anxious. I stared at her. You brought him, I said. Don't blame me for the tension you created. Kara's smile slipped. You always blame me. I held up my phone and opened the parenting app. I'm documenting that Trent was present during the exchange, I said, calm. This violates the agreement. Kara's eyes widened, furious. Put your phone away. No, I said. Trent took another step toward me. You can't write your way out of this, he said. I met his eyes. Watch me. Kara grabbed Maya's overnight bag and shoved it into the car. Get in, she snapped at Maya, the sweetness gone. Maya climbed in silently, eyes glossy. Kara slammed the car door and turned back to me. You're poisoning her against me, she said. I felt heat rise in my chest. I swallowed it down. I'm protecting her from adult games, I said. Stop playing them. Kara's face contorted, then snapped back into a smile as another parent walked past. Happy Friday, she said loudly, waving at the passerby. Then she leaned in close again, voice low. You don't know what I'm capable of. I looked at her, and for the first time I believed she was telling the truth, not because she was strong, because she didn't have limits when it came to saving face. As she drove away, Maya's face pressed to the window for a moment. She lifted her hand, a small wave. I waved back, and then I stood alone in the wet parking lot, watching the taillights fade. Cal called later. How'd the exchange go? Trent was there, I said. Cal exhaled. Okay, that's a move. It's bait, I said. Then don't bite, Cal said. I stared at the rain sliding down my windshield. I'm not biting, I said, but inside me something had started to sharpen again. Because the more Kara pushed, the clearer my path became. If she wanted the world to think I was unstable, I would give the world something else to believe, the truth, with timestamps. 2 days after the parking lot exchange, my sister June called me with a tone I didn't like. Evan, she said, Mom's friend Marla just texted me asking if you're okay. I frowned. Okay, how? June hesitated. She said Kara told people you're not safe to be around and that there's a history. The words hit like a sudden cold wave. What history? I asked. June's voice hardened. Exactly. It's vague on purpose. That night, I opened my email and found a message from a parent I barely knew. Subject, concern. Body. Hey, Evan. I hope you don't mind me reaching out. Kara mentioned some things and I just wanted to check in. If you need help, please get it. Get it. Help. The implication was clear. Kara had started a whisper campaign. Not a scream, not an accusation that could be proven or disproven. Just whispers, placed carefully in the right ears. I sat at the table and stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Then I did what I always did. I wrote, not to the parents, not to the whole world. I wrote to Alicia. Within an hour, Alicia called. We address this through the court, she said, and we address it through boundaries. How do I stop her from telling lies? I asked. You don't, Alicia said. You stop the lies from changing outcomes. You build a record, you keep your behavior consistent, and if she crosses certain lines, we ask for sanctions. Sanctions, a harsh word for a soft war. Alicia drafted a formal letter to Kara's attorney. Cease disparagement, cease third-party involvement, cease communications outside the parenting app, and confirm compliance with mediation terms. She attached screenshots of Kara's messages and a note about Trent's presence at the exchange. Then she drafted something else. A letter to the school, not a complaint, not a scene, a notice. We are in a legal separation with court orders. All communication regarding Maya must be shared with both parents. No parent is authorized to change pickup procedures without written agreement. I delivered it to the school office myself. The secretary smiled awkwardly, like she didn't want to be part of anyone's divorce. Neither did I, but being unwilling doesn't make you exempt. After the school, I drove to Cal's place. He lived in a small house with tools everywhere and a dog that believed everyone was a friend. Cal handed me a soda and sat across from me. She's trying to make you look dangerous, Cal said. I know, I said. Then you make yourself boring, he said. So boring nobody can imagine you doing anything wild. I let out a short laugh. Boring is my specialty. Cal didn't laugh. Not right now. Right now boring is strategy. He leaned forward. If she wants a show, you don't give her one. You give her paperwork and normal routines and the same pickup time every week? I nodded slowly. And what about Trent? Cal's jaw tightened. Trent wants you to react. He wants you to swing first. I stared at my hands. I'm not swinging. Cal's eyes stayed on me. Good. Because if you swing, you lose more than a fight. You lose a kid. That landed. On the drive home, I passed families loading groceries, people walking dogs, the world continuing like my life wasn't cracking open. At home, Kara sent a message. Maya says you're sad. Stop making her feel responsible. It was a trap dressed as concern. I replied, I will keep Maya emotionally safe. Please stop discussing adult conflict with her. Kara responded, You're the conflict. I saved it. Later that night, I sat on the floor of Maya's room while she colored. Dad, she said quietly, why does Mom say people have to be protected from you? My throat tightened. I took a breath and chose the truth in a kid-sized shape. Sometimes when adults are upset, they say things to make themselves feel less scared, I said. It doesn't make those things true. Maya stared at her crayons. Are you scared? Yes, I admitted. She looked up, surprised. Of Mom? Of losing time with you, I said. That's what I'm scared of. Maya's eyes got shiny. She scooted closer and leaned against my shoulder. I don't want anyone to lose time, she whispered. I don't either, I said, holding her gently. And in that moment, the revenge I'd started to build didn't feel like vengeance. It felt like protection with teeth. Kara wanted to poison the room with whispers. Fine. I would answer with something stronger than whispers. A record, a plan, and the kind of calm that makes lies look ridiculous. The week of the gala, Trent tried a new angle. It started with an email to my work address. Subject: Man to man. No company signature, no context. Just that line like a hook. I shouldn't have opened it at work. But curiosity is its own weakness, and Trent knew how to poke at weaknesses. The email was short. Evan, Kara deserves better than a guy who hides behind lawyers. You're embarrassing yourself. Let her go. Let Maya have a real dad. Stop pretending you're the victim. Trent. My hands went cold again, the same way they had when I saw Kara's name on the strategy invite. Not because Trent's words were powerful, but because he'd reached into my workplace again. I forwarded the email to Simone in HR and to Alicia. Then I deleted it from my inbox and went back to reviewing a vendor contract like my life wasn't being turned into a public sport. At lunch, Simone asked me to stop by. Her office was quiet, the door closed, blinds half drawn. She looked tired, like she'd been doing too much emotional cleanup for too many people. I received the email you forwarded, she said. Yes, I said. Simone leaned back slightly. Trent isn't an employee, but he used company systems to contact you because you're an employee. That's an issue. It's also part of my separation case, I said. Simone nodded. I understand. We can't control who emails you, but we can control access to certain directories and we can document harassment. If this escalates, security will be notified. I hated the word escalates. It made everything feel like a staircase with no landing. Simone looked at me for a moment. Are you okay? It was the first time anyone at work had asked me that, like it wasn't just a formality. I'm functioning, I said. Simone gave a small nod, like she respected that answer. One more thing, she said. Lyle told me Kara plans to attend the gala. My stomach tightened. Yes. Security will be briefed, Simone said. If she causes a disruption, we'll handle it. You don't. I nodded slowly. Thank you. On the drive home, I kept thinking about Trent's email. Let her go. Let Maya have a real dad. The words were meant to cut. They didn't cut the way he wanted. They cut in a different direction, toward clarity. Trent didn't want Maya. Not really. He wanted the idea of winning. He wanted the satisfaction of taking something from me, because men like Trent measure themselves by what they can take. Kara wanted a narrative. Deb wanted control. Trent wanted conquest. And in the middle of all of it was a child who wanted her parents to stop acting like she was a prize. That night, Maya was with Kara. The house felt too quiet. I found myself walking from room to room without purpose, like a man searching for a missing item that wasn't physical. Cal called around 9. You ready for the gala circus? He asked. As ready as I can be, I said. Cal was quiet. Then he said, Remember what I told you. Open hands, calm face, no sharp movements. I'm not going to start anything, I said. I know, Cal said, but they might. After the call, I opened the parenting app. Kara had sent a message. I'm bringing Maya to the gala for the first hour so she can see the lights. It's a company event, so it's appropriate. The message made my stomach drop. Maya. Kara was bringing Maya into the room. It wasn't about lights. It was about leverage. If Kara could stage a picture of herself and Maya at my company event, she could use it as proof she belonged, proof she was connected, proof she was stable. And if I reacted, if I tried to stop it loudly, I would look like the problem. I sat at the table and stared at the message until my eyes burned. Then I wrote a reply with the calm of a man handling a live wire. Please do not bring Maya to an adult company event without my agreement. If you want her to see lights, take her to a public holiday display. The gala is not appropriate. Kara responded fast. You don't get to decide what's appropriate. I replied, we decide together. That's the agreement. Kara wrote, you're jealous. Jealous. Another word to stain me. I didn't answer again. Instead, I texted Alicia. She called within minutes. She can't use Maya as a prop, Alicia said. If she shows up with Maya, do not confront her. Notify security, notify me, keep your distance. I hate this, I admitted. I know, Alicia said softly. But you're doing it right. After the call, I sat alone in the quiet house and listened to the rain return, gentle and persistent. I thought about all the times I'd ignored Kara's small cruelties because they seemed harmless. The sweater, the late nights, the workshops. The way she'd made me feel like I was always one mistake away from being replaced. Now, those small cruelties had turned into a strategy, and my revenge wasn't going to be loud. It was going to be me refusing to give her what she wanted most, a scene. If she brought Maya into that ballroom, she'd be walking into a spotlight with a child in her arms. And this time, the spotlight wouldn't be hers to control. Cascade Device Systems held a holiday gala every year at the Pearl District Hotel, a night of bad speeches and better snacks. This year, I didn't want to go. Then I got an email from Lyle. Hope to see you there, important for team morale. And another message from Kara on the parenting app. I will be attending the gala as Lyle's guest. My stomach sank. Alicia read the message and sighed. She's trying to corner you in public, she said. But if it's a company event, you can go. Just don't engage. Cal, when I told him, said, wear your nicest suit and keep your hands out of your pockets. People trust open hands. I almost didn't laugh, but I did. It came out like air leaking from a tire. On the night of the gala, the city looked glossy from rain, lights reflecting off the streets like scattered coins. I left Maya with my sister for a few hours, my sister June, steady and kind, the opposite of Kara's chaos. At the hotel, the ballroom was full of laughter that sounded rehearsed. Music played low, the air smelled like perfume and expensive food. I saw Kara immediately. She wore a red dress that made heads turn. She stood beside Lyle like she belonged there, hand lightly on his arm. Trent hovered nearby in a suit that didn't fit quite right, trying to look like a businessman. Kara spotted me and smiled, wide and confident, like she'd been waiting. I walked toward my coworkers, nodding, smiling. I didn't rush, I didn't avoid. I moved like a man who had nothing to hide. Kara approached when she had an audience. Of course she did. Evan, she said brightly. You came. Company event, I said. Kara laughed. Always the loyal employee. Lyle stepped in, smiling too hard. Kara's been telling me about her consulting work, he said, voice carrying. She's quite impressive. Kara's eyes glittered. Trent smirked behind her. I felt the room tilt, like the floor was trying to slide. This was her plan. Paint herself as successful, aligned with my workplace, while I looked like the bitter ex clinging to paperwork. I took a slow breath and reminded myself. Paper. Lyle, I said calmly, can we talk privately? Lyle blinked. Sure. Kara's smile tightened. What's this about? Work, I said. Not you. Kara's eyes flashed, but she kept smiling. Lyle led me toward a side corridor. The sound of the ballroom faded. What's going on? Lyle asked, nervous. I held up my phone and showed him an email thread, one I'd received that morning from a vendor partner. It was a message forwarded to me by mistake, containing attachments, marketing drafts Kara had sent them using Cascade's logo and internal language. Simone in HR had already seen it. She'd asked me to forward everything. Lyle's face drained. She's using our branding. Yes, I said. Lyle swallowed hard. That's not allowed. No, I said. Lyle's voice dropped. Evan, I thought she was just helping. She's helping herself, I said. Lyle looked sick. What do you want me to do? I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I kept it clean. I want you to protect the company, I said. And I want you to be aware that she's using this event to create a narrative. I'm not asking you to take sides. I'm asking you to enforce policy." Lyle nodded quickly. Okay, I'll handle it." We walked back into the ballroom. The timing was perfect, like fate liked irony. Lyle stepped up to the microphone to start the annual speech. People clapped politely. Kara stood near the front, chin lifted, ready to bask. Lyle cleared his throat, voice slightly shaky. "Before we begin," he said, "I need to address something regarding brand representation and consulting work." Kara's smile froze. Lyle continued. "Cascade Device Systems does not authorize non-employees to represent the company, use our branding, or conduct external messaging without contract and review. Any such activity will be addressed internally." The room went quiet in that way crowds get when they smell drama. Kara's face went pale under the ballroom lights. Trent's smirk vanished. I didn't move. I didn't look at her. I stared at a point over Lyle's shoulder like I was just another employee listening. Kara stepped forward, lips parted, but Deb grabbed her arm. Deb was there too, of course. Always the handler. Kara's eyes snapped to me, sharp and furious. In that glare, I saw the moment she realized something. Her story was collapsing in front of people who mattered to her. Not strangers, not online, real people, a room, a reputation. Kara's voice rose, trying to reclaim control. "This is ridiculous." Simone from HR appeared at Kara's side, calm as a stone. "Ms. Walker," Simone said, "please come with me." Kara's mouth worked. Trent started forward, but a security guard stepped in, polite and firm. I stood still as Kara was guided toward the exit, her red dress suddenly too bright, too loud, too exposed. As she passed me, she hissed, "You did this." I finally looked at her. My voice stayed low. "No," I said. "You did." Kara's eyes widened, not with sadness, not with regret, but with the first true fear I'd seen in her. Because she understood what I'd done. I hadn't screamed, I hadn't threatened, I hadn't thrown anything, I hadn't begged. I'd let her walk into a room carrying her own lie like luggage, and then I'd set it down in front of everyone. When the doors closed behind her, the ballroom exhaled. People looked away, pretending they hadn't seen. Lyle continued his speech, voice trembling, trying to glue the night back together. I stood there, heart pounding, hands open at my sides, and felt the climax of everything inside me. Not triumph, closure, the kind you get when the truth finally has a microphone. I left early. Outside, the rain had slowed to a soft mist. The city lights shimmered. In my car, my phone buzzed with a message from Kara on the parenting app. "You think you've won? You haven't." I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed a single reply, the cleanest cut of all. "See you in court?" I drove home to my daughter. Before I went home, I stopped by June's place to pick up Maya. She was asleep on the couch with a blanket pulled up to her chin, one sock missing, her hair a little wild. June met me at the door and didn't ask for details. She just searched my face like a sister does. "Did it go bad?" she whispered. "It went clear," I said. June nodded once, like she understood the difference. She helped me lift Maya gently. Maya stirred, half awake, and wrapped her arms around my neck without opening her eyes. "Dad?" she mumbled. "I'm here," I said. "Okay," she whispered and settled again. In the car, the heater blew warm air and the streets were almost empty. Holiday lights blurred through the windshield, smeared by mist. The city felt like it was holding its breath. At home, I carried Maya inside and set her in her bed. She opened her eyes for a second, unfocused, and smiled at me like she'd found something safe in the dark. "Love you," she said, the words thick with sleep. "I love you too," I said, and my voice nearly broke on it. When her breathing evened out again, I stood in the doorway for a long moment, listening to the house. No yelling, no footsteps, no phone buzzing. Just the quiet, steady kind of normal that had felt impossible lately. Then I drove home to my daughter, to a quiet house, to a suitcase still sitting by the door like an abandoned prop. And for the first time in months, the quiet felt like mine. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a man who finally stopped bargaining with someone who never played fair. The truth hadn't saved my marriage, but it had saved my sanity. And tomorrow, when the sun came up over wet streets and school drop-offs, I'd still be standing. I locked the door, set the suitcase in the closet, and turned off every light. For good.